We are working on a master plan for every single campus and how we're going to get green on every single campus. You mentioned grass, and obviously for the younger kids, we're going to try to do that for the sports venues, but understand that brown is the new green. You know, we're in the greatest drought LA has ever seen, and it's irresponsible for us to have grass everywhere. There's a reason that we have so many campuses covered with asphalt, because grass costs 5 times as much as asphalt. There's something in between. Decomposed granite is one of the things that we try to do as much as we can. We have some of the pictures, I should have highlighted those, but we had stumps in the areas. We love stumps. Kids love stumps. You know, I'm sure your kid are like my kids. They can't walk past a rock or a stump without climbing up on it. They love stumps more than they love plastic slides. So we can create outdoor seating for outdoor classrooms, and then it becomes an outdoor play space. So we put them close enough that you can jump from one to the other. We have a stump farm that I'm going to go visit tomorrow. We bought our own saw, so when we have a tree that falls or we have to take down because it's in danger of falling, we're chopping it up into stumps. Not only that, but twigs that you can lean together and make different construction projects. Just the little discs, like I call them the giant silver dollars. They love to set them out and then jump from one to one or stack them up. So we're cutting those into those play areas. Anytime someone's coming in and doing a project, we encourage them. Some people have strong attractions to the trees that were there, and we can bring that tree back, and it, in a sense, can live on that campus as a bench or a stump or a seat that we have. But there won't be grass everywhere. In fact, we're in a grass reduction area. When we do asphalt projects as a policy, and if it's possible, we reduce the amount of asphalt we restore by 30%. And we turn that into, quote, green, but a lot of that green is decomposed granite brown.
Thank you. We have a member on Zoom, Jenna.
Hi, Mr. Hovatter.
Hello.
I was going to talk about the tree mill, because I think it's just the coolest thing that we have in LAUSD. And I just wanted to say thank you and congratulations on retirement and all of your years of service. And you will definitely be irreplaceable. So thank you.
Thank you.
I agree with you, Jenna. Thank you so much. I agree. Next, go ahead, please.
Thank you. This is something that has not been mentioned at all. State of California is talking about zero-emission automobiles by 2035. Are there any plans in terms of accommodating these types of cars by 2035?
Not only cars, but everything that we have that uses fossil fuels. We are committed to be done not by 2035, but by 2040. Initially, it's energy. By 2030, we are committed to only consume energy that has been produced by clean sources. And used to be natural gas was considered a clean source. It is compared to coal, but not compared to solar. We're committed, we're on track. We're probably going to come in a couple years early for all the energy. However, we also have another 10 years to 2040 to replace all our heaters and make them electric, all our air conditioning, all of our lawnmowers, all of our vehicles that we're driving, leaf blowers, everything that uses gas, we're going to convert to electricity. The challenge is to do that, we're going to have to produce some 70 megawatts of energy, and that's a lot. We did a program before, and we were really proud of that, but we produced 20 megawatts, and now we're going to produce 70 megawatts to get there. Once we do all that, that'll take care of all the electricity we're consuming now, but the electricity we're going to have to generate to charge all of these things and to run all our electric air conditioning systems and stoves and buses, it's going to need another 100 megawatts.
Solar panels?
Yeah, it's going to be solar panels, and it's going to end up being more than that. I mean, obviously, it's reduced what our load is, and then the electricity that we have. We have done some investigations into wind power. It wasn't practical. It was a 40-year payback, and then it created problems because it kills birds and those sort of things. We do have one geothermal plant at one of our schools, but again, that's not going to happen everywhere. The majority is going to be for solar. We're doing great partnerships with third parties. We're essentially renting our roofs to a third party They're putting solar panels on it and then selling us back the electricity at less than the power companies do, and then we take credit for our reduction of the carbon footprint as we do that. It's a very aggressive program. The board passed a resolution that said we shall be less, all our electricity is clean energy by 2030 and nothing using fossil fuels by 2040. Some of the technology that we're going to use hasn't been invented yet, so we're staying on top of that as we go forward.
I guess that's it. Let me just say one more time before we get to our next topic. I have never met anyone ever who knows more than you do about facilities, and you could be in the Guinness Book of World Records for the facts that you know about building and the trades. And on top of all that, you're such a nice guy, and you're so nice to speaking to people, so it's you're amazing. You're just amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Hovetter. You're just wonderful. You really are. Okay, let's move on to item number 2. And that is Ms. Paulina Rock. She is the Executive Director of the Office of Health Emergency Response and Support, and she will present this item. But before you start, please tell us something about yourself, Paula, and how many years you've been working, Pauline, I'm sorry, how many years you've been working for LAUSD?
So I've been working for LA Unified since 2000. I started as I was told I was going to start as a 4th grade teacher, so excited. I walk in my first day and I have a bunch of kindergartners and 1st graders crawling everywhere. So that was the best year of my life. And yeah, I've been with LA Unified since 2000. And I'm a mother of 2 teenagers, kind of scary to say, 17 and 15, I know.
Well, that's wonderful. And I know you're going to speak on health emergency management safety protocols. And I think I know the nice young lady who's right next to you. Could you introduce yourself?
Hello, board member Schmarlson and committee members. My name is Dr. Smitha Malhotra. I'm the Chief Medical Director for Los Angeles Unified. Paulina Rock will be talking soon. I'm just going to give a little bit of an introduction to this presentation. So I started at LA Unified in 2021 in the middle of the pandemic. I've been a pediatrician for 15 years, and every year pre-pandemic, we have gone through this respiratory viral season with flu and RSV in pediatrics. In pediatrics, we know it lasts from October through May. Those were the months that, are the busiest for us, where we're taking care of sick children, educating families on hygiene and vaccination, and helping them to prevent their children getting sick as much as possible. And then the pandemic hit, and I think the pandemic confirmed 2 major things for many of us in the medical field. One is that masks are effective at reducing the transmission of viruses, and 2 is that the scientific method helps us to transform hypotheses and uncertainty into knowledge. And we gained knowledge every day as this virus changed, and that helped guide our policies. So we've learned a lot about the virus in the last 3 years, the COVID-19 virus, and it is vaccines and the availability of therapeutics that have brought us to where we are today. So as COVID-19 enters the endemic state, this winter season, we have the surge of many respiratory illnesses at the same time. And what our medical advisors at UCLA have told us and what we have learned is that now in this new state, with the availability of vaccines and therapeutics, the risk for children for COVID-19, RSV, and flu now are about the same in terms of health impact. Truly, it is a testament to the scientific work that has been done over the last 3 years. And so it's time to reframe how we talk about COVID-19. We have collectively all experienced trauma and anxiety over this pandemic for the last 3 years, and it's time to help soothe this anxiety by talking about COVID-19 in a new way, and in a way we talk about many of the seasonal viruses we deal with every year. And we can bring all our tools that we've learned, such as masking, throughout this pandemic to foster an environment of social responsibility, of an environment of caring for one another. And so as we talk about masking, we encourage situational masking. We encourage hand washing during periods of high transmission to protect ourselves and those around us. In terms of testing, we now have available over-the-counter rapid testing. So we encourage when a staff member or a student is sick to get the over-the-counter test and take a test, stay home if you are ill. And so to talk more about how we can do this and the tools that we can provide our community through this winter season, I would like to invite our Executive Director, Paulina Ruck.
Thank you for that. So I'll click? Okay. Excuse me if I don't read and click at the same time, okay, or if I mess up a little bit. So, good afternoon, board members Schmilson and committee members. My name is Paulina Ruck, and I'm the Executive Director for the new Office of Health Emergency Response and Support, formerly known as the Office of COVID Response. I know, a mouthful. I'm here today to share with you the health and emergency safety protocols that are in place to keep our school communities informed. Let me put it this way. In this respiratory virus where we have COVID, flu, and RSV, health and safety protocols are in place to keep our students and staff safe. Following the science and guidance from our medical experts, we have established protocols in the district that include response testing, monitoring of close contacts, and improved ventilation systems like Mr. Hovatter mentioned. Our health and safety protocols are based on 5 steps. They are prevent, protect, mitigate, response, and recover. And these are based on the National Preparedness System, which is one of the nation's tools used to confront threats or hazards. In step 1, we provide strategies for prevention that include, but are not limited to, response testing, vaccinations, and improved ventilation. In step 2, protect, we continue to communicate and encourage testing for students and staff when they are sick in order to help protect our school communities. We provide guidance on how, when, and where tests should be administered, and these tests are provided by the district. In step 3, mitigate, we continue to provide guidance and support to employees who test positive or are identified as close contacts. When students and staff test positive, they stay home until they complete their isolation period. In step 4, response, we continue to monitor positivity rates and outbreaks. This data helps us best support our schools and provide them with tools necessary to keep them safe. In step 5, jumping ahead. In step 5, recover, routines have been established in schools and offices that promote safety for everyone and that include providing necessary supplies like masks and tests. Another important strategy is communication. Updated guidance to students and families so they are informed. As we mentioned in step 1, protect, one important component is providing opportunities for our school communities to have access to vaccinations, boosters, and physical exams through our student and family wellness centers run by the District Student Medical Services. For more information, families can call the number above to find a clinic near them. Another key component to providing ongoing communication and awareness for our families is via our LAUSD website. We have set up a site dedicated to fentanyl awareness. This page is part of our ongoing efforts to increase awareness on the fentanyl crisis plaguing the nation and our schools. We have also set up a dedicated page for RSV, which is currently a respiratory virus impacting our school community. Okay, here we go. As we prepare for winter break, we want to ensure our families are informed on how to be safe and stay healthy by providing them with resources on what to do if they have COVID-19 symptoms. This flyer we provide explains when to test utilizing any of the rapids provided by the district and how to upload their test results onto the daily pass. And this has simplified for families when they call in and ask questions. This flyer really details things out for them and supports them. For winter break, Rapids will be provided for students this week, beginning the 14th through the 16th of November, so that students can test 24 to 48 hours prior to returning school from winter break. This is what we did when we came back to school in August. We will also be providing a second distribution of Rapids the first week back from winter break. Tests will be passed out between January 11th to the 13th, and again, tests should be administered 24 to 48 hours before returning to school. And we have identified the dates that there'll be distributions, and of course, this depends on the school site, but it's prior to them leaving and returning on that first week, and the dates that they should be testing. Communication will also go out to families via letter explaining that testing is highly recommended and that they should test 24 to 48 hours before returning to school, as mentioned on the previous slide. There will also be a reminder that even though a test might have expired, the California Department of Public Health endorsed the use of rapid tests beyond their expiration date, and they actually list out which test and until when they're good. Families will also receive information on what to do when they test negative and also when they test positive, and how to upload their test results onto the Daily Pass. We found that giving them detailed information along with pictures is a great support and resource at home to support them with uploading their test onto the Daily Pass. Ooh. Okay, I'm not good at clicking, sorry. Here we go. For any questions, please feel free to email or call our Family Help Desk at 213-443-1300. And with that, I know the presentation was short and sweet, but to the point. And now, any questions that you might have.
Absolutely to the point. Yes, I appreciate that. And again, this is recorded, so I hope that parents will look at this over the winter break when it's time to come back to school to make sure they know exactly what to do, because sometimes you get flustered during winter break and you're not sure what to report, what to load, what not to load. It's right here on this presentation. So I thank you very much. But I do have a question before I pass it on. If a school site, maybe this is for Dr. Malhotra, but maybe you both should come up. Yeah, thank you. Suppose a school is running low on PPE equipment and tests. So who should they contact?
For tests, we have set up a system where schools can actually order via a Bitly link as many tests as they feel necessary for their school site. So they can order that way. As for PPE, they can always order from the warehouse.
Excellent. Excellent. And one other question I have is, if a student takes a rapid test at home and they test negative, but they just have some minor flu-like symptoms and stuff like that, but they're negative, but they don't feel well and runny nose and all that stuff, should they still attend school?
So to that, I would say, think about what we did pre-pandemic. You know, if you're not feeling well, stay home, get seen by your healthcare provider, take care of yourself. We certainly don't want children coming to school while they're so sick. They're not going to learn. Take care of yourself and then come back when you feel better.
I agree with you. And let me just mention, before the pandemic, there was such an emphasis on perfect attendance. My goodness, don't come to school if you're sick. We'll have another way of honoring excellent attendance, you know. Don't make everyone else sick. Stay
Yes.
home if you're sick.
So important to teach children to take care of yourself. Put your own oxygen mask on before you can be there for
Exactly.
others.
And consider your fellow classmates and teachers and everyone else at
Right.
school too, right?
Right.
Thank you. How about some questions from my panelists? I know you have some questions. Go ahead, please.
Hi, thank you for the information. I would like to know, for our volunteers that volunteer on a regular basis, are the rapid tests, are they also available for our volunteers, or?
Yes, they would be available for volunteers. All they have to do is just go to their school site administrator to request one. Yeah.
Thank you both for the great information. When we start to talk about fentanyl, and we know that that has been more than impactful in our school communities recently, what does the district plan to do besides this amazing website where parents and students can use it as a resource? how are we going to truly ensure, even as young as the elementary levels, that our scholars are not impacted by this severe crisis?
It's great that you asked that, because in collaboration with Parent Community Services and Student Health and Human Services, there was a trainer session today specifically to present modules for parents on substance abuse and give them support. So I know Pia's team did an excellent job in putting these modules together. So the goal today was to train the trainers, and hopefully by January, train school sites who will then in turn take that information back to their families. And it's about 4 sessions, and I attended the trainer training, and let me tell you, I sat there myself as a parent going, oh my God, okay, maybe I need to sit through all of these modules, because they did a dynamic. So that's something that is up and coming, coming the 2023 school year, yes.
And just to clarify, that's going to be for all scholars? We're going to make sure that it's K-12? I just want to ensure that we're not waiting for a magical grade level, and we really are ensuring that scholars are exposed to the dangers of it even before we think they might be.
So it's for all school sites, and it's specifically geared towards parents, yes.
Thank you. Excellent. Go ahead.
No, and one element that we're doing is that we know that this has been a topic of priority. If families go to achieve.lausd.net/Family Academy, we did offer a special segment at the end of October on substance use, talking about psychological first aid, first and foremost, and what are the factors that lead to substance use. And then it goes into a conversation of the look-fors for fentanyl specifically. We received raving sort of like reviews from families. It was a 2-day encore to really just build that sense of urgency. And since then, Student Health and Human Services has done a beautiful job of simplifying the conversation in a package module that includes PowerPoint, facilitator guide, partner resource links, so that families can be engaged, whether it be a coffee with the principal, talking about like a short vignette on the topic, or as long to go deeper into it. But we are going to be adding a component as a part of our LCAP. Our schools offer at least 1 family engagement workshop a month, and we're going to be asking our school sites to complete a portion of the course experience in their January, February sort of segment of their family workshops, so that the message is amplified and it is broadened. We'll continue partnering with our partner offices to also embed these components of this conversation in our Family Academy, because this is, I think, beautiful work that was done is that we brought together all touch points that directly serve families at our schools. So the objective is to bring in our parent and family center personnel, working with our multilingual, multicultural education, Title I, our student and family navigators, like all of the units that support families, to come in, because we're not experts, but we're building expertise and being able to speak about this issue that is affecting our community. So we look forward to starting the year off with really leading these very thoughtful but critical conversations.
Thank you, and that's great. And thank you for bringing up the trainer of trainers or presenter of presenters from Pia's shop. Thank you. Go ahead, Pia.
Well, thank you, my dear colleagues. It really is an opportunity to take a step back and remind the presentation that we did last meeting about the roadmap for parents and also for educators. This fentanyl conversation is not a standalone, right? It's a continuum of the urgency of mental health support and protective factors. I loved, Dr. Mahota, you used language that really is, we've been exposed to so much trauma, we've been exposed to isolation, we've been exposed to, if you remember the roadmap, the first element is safety. And safety is not just physical, which you did a great job harnessing the response needed, but it's really having the ability for your brain to be able to make good choices, problem solve, that whole mental health continuum. So the approach that the district is taking is phenomenal, and it's building the capacity of all adults to have the information. At the same time, there are areas where it's urgent for that family or that child to get clinical help, and we hope that we identify that too. I don't want to take this lightly, saying now everybody's fentanyl expert, because I think the information that everybody's getting is really just a universal knowledge base, so that we're all hands on deck, right? It's not just a mental health, but it is a continuum of children not making the right choices because they're not feeling safe, right? They don't have the ability to calm down. They don't have self-efficacy, community efficacy, and hope. So there's all these elements that contribute to at risk, right, or at promise. So I love the fact that it takes a village, and all of us are part of the solution, but at the same time, especially today, there's news of another tragic death that has impacted many of us, death by suicide. We really need to know that to proceed cautiously and to seek the support needed during these very difficult times. So thank you. And thank you for, I think the language that you're using for medical and for testing is all integrated, right? We're all talking about the safety, which is something we all need. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, Pia. Also, we have someone on Zoom to comment. Jenna?
Hi, I have actually a few different things, so if you could bear with me. The first is I want to jump back to what Board Member Schmerlson was saying about the attendance initiative. Perfect attendance is still being pushed heavily in schools. It's a problem. I think that there has to be a distinction made by the district between chronic absence, kids who are regularly truant, and kids who are absent. I joke, I received a letter last year that my child was chronically absent and that it was a problem. The principal had to call me. My kid had been sick twice. He had missed 7 days of school. It's so distressing that we are spending resources in that manner. There are plenty of students out there that require resources like that. And I think that there needs to be a distinction made. If kids are absent because they're ill, they shouldn't be getting these phone calls. They shouldn't be getting this. So I wanted to just jump on that hill for a minute because it's important. But my question is, I know that starting with the fentanyl, I know that it's incredible that Narcan has been distributed to school sites. I've heard from several school sites that they've only gotten 1 box or 2 boxes. Oftentimes in crisis, as many as 4 doses of Narcan could be used on 1 student. And when we look at what's happened at schools recently, we're seeing multiple students having been affected at the same time. So I'm curious how that determination was made of how many boxes are going to each school. Are we giving more to schools in higher risk areas? Like, how is that all happening?
Yeah, great question. So we are actively working with the naloxone distribution program through the state to get more doses. That's one thing we're doing. With the distribution of doses, we did allocate more to high schools and middle schools and more to larger high schools and those in higher risk areas before allocating to the elementary schools. So it was an intentional decision because of the amount of doses we had, and we are working very diligently with the state to get more doses. So we will stock more doses, and we also want to provide to our adult education, our early education centers, our after school. So there's many areas that we want to provide doses to, and we're working to get more doses. But yes, that was an intentional decision. Those that were at higher risk received more doses.
Perfect. Okay. And then sort of along with that, if a student, is there a place a student can go if they feel that they want a dose to carry with them, to keep with them? Is there somewhere they can go to get that?
Great question. So you can go to any pharmacy and request Narcan. Narcan does not need a prescription right now.
It has a very high copay.
It does have a high copay. You are right. The Department of Department of Public Health, that wasn't coming to me for a second. The Department of Public Health does have naloxone distribution sites. So if you look up their website, they have naloxone distribution programs. And a physician can write a prescription for Narcan for a student that really needs it.
Do we have, I know that there's certain, I mean, off the top of my head, I know there's one in like Simi Valley. They're like, I was able to fill out a form online and somebody sent me 2 boxes of Narcan for the cost of shipping.
Yes, sorry, I
Which
forgot
was
to mention
way-
one other, sorry to cut you off.
No,
One
no,
other
no, no.
source, because you're talking about it. I forgot to mention them, endoverdose.net. If you go on this website, do the training, they will mail you the Narcan.
Yes. So I think, do we have links to those? Because I know that like for kids, I mean, I have teenagers, so I know that kids, I guess, I think it's more on the parents to order that and bring that in. So I feel like that would be an excellent thing to send out to our families. Like, this is what we're doing for fentanyl awareness. This is what's happening. And if you want it for your own family, here's where you can go to get it. Because I know everyone keeps saying, oh, you can go to your pharmacy. And so I did. And they're like, oh, you have a $90 copay. And I'm like, well, that's accessible. So I don't know. I just think it'd be great. I know everyone's really freaked out right now. So
Yes, and I will connect with our Department of Public Health because I know they are actively working on getting Narcan into the accessible for students. So we can provide those resources as well.
awesome. Thank you so much. And then just quickly, I'm going to jump to part 2 of my questions. So for why are the baseline tests not required? Why are they just recommended? Like, why aren't we requiring our kids? Because I know because we're not uploading the negative test, there's really no way of knowing if someone tests or not. We caught 80,000 cases with baseline testing last winter. So the idea of not requiring that again is sort of is like.
So what our medical advisors at UCLA have informed us is now in this new state, the impact of RSV, flu, and COVID-19 are about the same. Our goal as the district is to ensure that we can have as many children be at school as possible because in-person learning is important. What we learned in the beginning of the pandemic is that we had to do asymptomatic testing. We didn't know how this virus was going to change. We didn't have vaccines. We didn't have therapeutics. But now in this new state, asymptomatic testing is no longer helpful for our children. It's no longer helpful for them to attend in-person learning because you would be keeping children out of school that don't necessarily need to be out of school. And so encouraging children or encouraging families to test their students when they're sick kind of changes our narrative. It changes the fact that we are now going back to that role of social responsibility of taking care of one another like we've done for respiratory viruses in the past. If you were sick, if you had flu, you would stay home, you wouldn't come to school. So we have to eventually get back to that place, especially in this new environment where we are much safer than we were in the beginning of the pandemic from COVID-19, especially for children.
Got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you both.
And thank you for those questions, Jenna. Very, very, very helpful. Next, we have Lisa Salazar.
Yes, thank you for your presentation and everything that you do to keep our students safe. Really appreciate that. I'm curious about the incidence of fentanyl that you're seeing. Are the incidents leveling out? Are they increasing? Are they decreasing? What does that look like?
So right now, since we've introduced our Narcan into our schools, we've used Narcan about 6 times, but before that, it was used about 11 or 12 times. So we are seeing a rise in overdoses, and you're seeing that throughout the county, throughout the nation. It's not slowing down right now. That's what I can tell you. But we're following the trends of the community. And so, yeah, we have already used Narcan. It has saved lives in our school. Yeah.
And my second question was about training, and it was answered in the conversation earlier. So it would be great to partner with Health and Human Services to see how we can educate young people who are visiting city facilities and as well as our staff that are providing direct service. So Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. We have some information from Mr. McLean.
I just wanted to say briefly, the presentations from all of these exceptional individuals are available in perpetuity on our website. So the stuff that they're referring to are called PowerPoints, and then you can find them forever on our website at boe.lausd.net.
Was that a commercial, Mr. McLean? I think so. Any other questions from our panel? Okay, thank you so much. And once again, I want to thank all of our district staff and our presenters for their hard work, for their dedication to our students and our families in LAUSD. It takes a lot of commitment and a lot of resources to ensure that our students receive the best educational experiences and supports to succeed. So, our next meeting will be on Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. Wow, right? Wednesday, February 1st, 2023 at 5 p.m. I want to wish you all a happy holiday. And with that, we're going to move to public comment.
Here we go. Let's jump right in. Love Collins, are you on the line? Love Collins, if you're on the line, press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hey, how are you?
Hi. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, great. Since you can hear me, I hope that you all will listen. And as you listen, I hope you will be compelled to help us. I am both a parent and a member of a community coalition named NIA, Neighbors in Action for Baldwin Hills Elementary, and you can reach us at niabaldwinhills.com. We independently support the well-being of Baldwin Hills Elementary through advocacy, volunteering, increasing enrollment, and donations. Because of the one-sided position principals are placed in, we find the concerns of teachers and parents unresolved and the needs of our children unanswered. The Baldwin Hills community for the past 7 years has been seeking advocates at the district level to work with us to find creative solutions to become uncollocated and remove the invasive charter from our campus. We have called, we have emailed, petitioned, demonstrated. We've been featured on the news and in newspapers, and as of now, LAUSD's shameful and disgraceful response has been photo ops from Superintendent Carvalho, no response from reaction from our District 1 representative, Dr. George McKenna, a lackluster Prop 39 presentation from district members, and a request for at least a dozen or more classrooms from the current charter for next school year. As members of the Family and Community Engagement Committee, I am asking, will you engage with us? Will you seek to understand the inequitable and discriminatory challenges that the 3 co-located local District West schools, which happen to also be predominantly African American populated schools, face? Will you work as a bridge and voice to help us return to an independent campus? Baldwin Hills is approaching its 80th anniversary, and instead of LAUSD positioning the school and its educators as a model, our classrooms are being given away. Our programs are depleted and our growth is being stunted. And enough is enough. Our children deserve more. So we're asking for your voice in your position with your resources and your contacts to help us to get in touch with our district members, to help us find solutions and to help us to get this charter off of our campus. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Evan George, are you on the line? Evan George, if you're on the line, press *6 to unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak once you begin. Evan George.
Hi, thank you. Thanks, Family Engagement Committee. Thank you, Chairperson Smirlson. You guys do awesome work. I'm also the proud parent of a first grader at Baldwin Hills Elementary. Baldwin Hills, as you've heard, is a model version of a community school. The teachers and the parents play a very active role. It's a bright spot serving South LA and LD West communities, and yet we're in big trouble and we need help, and we're seeking anybody who will listen to help us remove the co-located charter, New LA. Our co-location problem is a facilities problem. Mr. Hovatter talked tonight, telling this board about the need for an environment that helps kids have the greatest opportunity to learn. And the physical space and resources that we need for our school have been taken away unfairly in order to make room for a charter school that is not for the community. 8 of our classrooms have been taken away. Next year, they've requested even more. We have kids practicing music on the playground, being told they have to eat in silence and move fast so that both schools can rush through their lunch periods. We lost a computer lab. We lost the engineering instruction. We lost the private space for mental health counseling. We have kids wetting themselves because of issues around sharing one bathroom facility. When you force a public school to host a charter school, you create a situation where kids of all ages are sharing the same facilities, bathrooms, playground, cafeteria. One of the 8,000 restrooms that Mr. Hovatter talked about is ours. And if restrooms are the biggest priority, it's great that they're clean 3 times a day, but we don't have enough capacity for all the students at 2 schools to use the restroom. You mentioned a garden. We would love to have a garden. We've been working towards that. We don't have the space to plant a garden because of the charter school. So this facilities conversation is fantastic. You need to address the issue of schools that don't have the space they need for some of these things. One of the parents at our school said it best. There's nothing normal about occupying a successful school with another school. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're going to see families leave this community school instead of join it. And so we respectfully ask for your support to relocate New LA Charter School. We don't need one classroom back. We need all of our space back. The district has given New LA, quote, space for programs that are vital to the curriculum of Baldwin Hills. Don't take my word for it. That's a direct quote from correspondence we've had with the LUSD, LD West administration. We know this decision is not being made by the body of people that are here tonight, but it is being made right now. And this specific committee does include people who will at some point have a say, especially you board member Schmerlson. And we totally understand that this meeting has been about a lot of things. And it's all great work, but we want you to hear us on this facilities issue. Frankly, we don't have a lot of options because our board member, Dr. George McKenna, has not engaged with us. So
Thank you very much for your time,
work
Mr.
on
George.
related issues.
Thank you. Joanna Casucci, are you on the line? Joanna Casucci? If you're on the line, press *6 to unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak once you begin.
Hello.
Hi, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Great. Good evening. I'm a mom of a first grader also at Baldwin Hills and also a member of Neighbors in Action. And I'm speaking today to ask that the board look at with new eyes at the issue of Prop 39 charter co-location in LAUSD, which has decimated decades-long investment in neighborhood schools in the name of fiscal responsibility and has harmed the educational outcomes for Black and Brown students in the name of equity. I knew Baldwin Hills was different from the moment I first stepped on the campus last October as a volunteer. Students at Baldwin are happy, immersed in a loving community. As an educator, I'm familiar with the concept of culturally responsive education, but the staff at Baldwin really bring this theory to life. After getting to know more teachers and school leaders this year, I've also seen the strain caused by Prop 39 co-location on the educators that support this loving school community. A teacher at Baldwin told me that since New LA's presence on this campus, the quality of educational services and programs offered has taken a huge hit. Baldwin is getting by under the weight of forced co-location, but we are not thriving. We also see a path laid out before us by looking at neighborhood schools like Trinity Elementary, who are forced to give up most of its classrooms to the occupying charter, as more and more families left due to shrinking resources. No school community can thrive under the threat of an occupying entity. Prop 39 sets up a parasitic relationship between 2 school communities. Is that what LAU wants for its neighborhood schools, or even for its charter schools? Zooming out, I took a minute to look at the demographics of co-located schools in my local District West. I noticed that all of the co-located schools were made up of over 93% Black and Brown students. I noticed that an average 91% of students in co-located schools were ELL, foster youth, and/or free and reduced lunch. This does not sound equitable or fair to me. The reason we are speaking today is because our district leaders so far have either ignored our pleas for help or have provided legal language in response that the law requires them to, quote, share space fairly among all students, end quote. Does this seem like equity and fairness? Why are only Black and brown schools asked to share their space? Our district leaders are choosing to ignore the obvious. Prop 39 has a disproportionate effect on communities of color. This is structural racism conveniently disguised as neutrality, equity, and financial stewardship, and layered on top of the gentrification, residential segregation, and environmental racism that already plague our city. The school board can reinterpret Prop 39 to allow its neighborhood schools to thrive. Members of the board and district leaders, we represent dozens at Baldwin and hundreds across the district who are passionate about supporting our local schools and ensuring that they can thrive. Remove the blinders and acknowledge the destructive effects of Prop 39. Reinterpret this law to protect our neighborhood schools. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Maria Palma, are you here? Maria Palma. If you're here, come on up. You have 3 minutes to speak once you begin.
Good evening, committee members. My name is Maria Luisa Palma. What in the world is the Thought Exchange? Do parents know this exists? I just heard about it a few months ago when I began attending LCAP study groups. Board Member Schmerlson, you know I'm an engaged parent. I live within your board district number 3, and I visit you here and I write to you. How is it that I never heard about this? Let's start by comparing the Thought Exchange to the School Experience Survey. The survey I've known about. All us parents and students are bombarded with demands to complete it from October to December. But the two systems are very different, aren't they? Allow me to quote a district presentation to the Parent Advisory Committee describing the difference. A survey is one way. Leader is hearing from individual participants. An exchange is collaborative, prompting participant learning, empathy, creativity, and building collaboration. Decentralizing who holds information and creating trust to share information. Your presentation goes on to illustrate an example. With a survey, you have 100 people, 1 thought, and 0 connections. But with an exchange, you have 100 people, 204 thoughts, and 2,235 connections. This system allows for asking open-ended questions, open fields for answers, and sharing of answers with participants, all of which can help prompt additional follow-up ideas. Sounds awesome. So what is the problem? The problem is the Thought Exchange system is a secret known only to the select few parents who attend LCAP study groups or are elected members of one of the district-level parent committees. At Local District Northeast Final Study Group last week, the presentation showed a whopping total of 189 comments received so far. The Active Thought Exchange session is asking the question, what changes do you recommend that the district should make to the LCAP to continue to support all students and close equity gaps? Great question. So, why don't you promote this question through the Thought Exchange to all parents and students within the district? Maybe like on the parent portal, the district website, local district, now regional websites, school site websites, email, text, or all of the above. I challenge you to find links to navigate to the system on your websites. I can find it only by doing a browser or website search by name. There is not even a mention of the Thought Exchange on the district's LCAP webpage, where the plan itself is provided to the public. Really? Why not? Do you conclude that parents are not educated about the LCAP, its goals and metrics, and therefore are unqualified to provide their opinions? Or are you actively working to avoid stakeholder input? You have an excellent tool, but it's operating in the shadows, being used in an isolated fashion and only recording the opinions of a narrow subset of stakeholders. Please be transparent and fix it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Diana Guillen. Diana Guillen.
Buenas tardes, señor Schmerlson y los miembros de este comité.
Good afternoon, Mr. Schmerlson and all members of this committee.
Mi nombre es Diana Guillén y he sido 4 veces presidenta del comité DILAC.
My name is Diana Guillen, and I have been the chair of DLAC for 4 terms.
Hace 2 años, mi comité DILAC firmó una carta donde decía que quisieran tener un comité de padres a nivel del distrito.
2 years ago, the DLAC committee signed a letter requesting to have a parent committee at the district level.
Pero primeramente estoy mirando que le cambiaron el nombre, ya dice solo familias y quitaron padres.
But what I noticed is the first thing you did was change the name. You removed the word parent and you changed it to families.
Y estoy mirando todas las personas que son miembros de este comité y no veo ni a un solo padre.
And I'm looking at the names of all the people on this committee, and I don't see a single parent.
Aquí dice, la señora Jessica es padre, pero es educador, pertenece al lado de los maestros.
So I see here there's a Jessica who's listed as a parent, but also an educator, so she's representing teachers.
También tenemos a la señora Gina Watts, parent teacher, que es la cofundadora de supuestamente esta organización, donde yo había estado siendo parte, pero que me sacaron porque la señora reprime a la gente que piensa diferente.
There's also a woman listed on here who is a teacher and a co-founder of an organization that I was also a part of, but I was actually kicked out because I was a little too rowdy.
Y muchas organizaciones lo único que hacen es suplantar a los padres. Dicen que nos representan, pero en realidad no lo hacen. Representan sus propios intereses.
These organizations are supplanting the participation of parents. They say they represent parents, but they don't actually do so.
Se aprovechan porque no tenemos las mismas capacidades y las mismas oportunidades que ustedes.
They take advantage of this situation because we don't have the same set of skills and experiences that
Pero
you
no
do.
por eso no quiere decir que no tengamos liderazgo, porque el liderazgo no tiene nada que ver con con algo acerca de tus atributos educativos.
But that doesn't mean we don't have leadership abilities just because we don't have the same degrees or things as you do.
El día de hoy están hablando mucho del fentanol.
El fentanyl?
Fentanilo,
Today
no sé
you're
cómo se
talking a
llama.
lot about fentanyl.
Pero existen muchas drogas dentro de las escuelas. Eso no es la única que hay.
But there are a lot more drugs at the schools. That's not
Tenemos
the
una
only drug.
pandemia de marihuana donde cualquiera que salga aquí afuera están fumando.
There's a whole marijuana pandemic. You walk outside and everyone's smoking
Y
it.
yo no he visto a este distrito que se hubiera opuesto en la Cámara de California al nivel de Sacramento, donde esto iba a afectar a las escuelas.
I haven't seen the school district show up in California, the capital in Sacramento, to talk about this, how this affects the schools.
Porque esto está afectando a nuestros estudiantes, porque ahora es más fácil conseguir un montón de diferentes tipos de drogas.
And this is affecting our students because nowadays it's so much easier to get all kinds of drugs.
Por eso también la deserción escolar ha crecido.
And that's why the addiction in schools has grown.
Entonces, ¿qué es lo que va a hacer el distrito? Porque no quiere nuestra ayuda.
So what is the district going to do? They don't seem to want our help.
Ni siquiera se respetan los comités. Muchas personas que según están ayudando en los comités no respetan al presidente, no respetan a la mesa directiva, cortan reuniones nada más porque están muy ocupados.
They don't seem to respect the committees that they've formed. Supposedly the people who are supposed to help us, they cut off the president. They don't pay attention to what the board wants. They're cutting the meeting because supposedly they run out of time.
Este distrito ha creado ciertas guías, ¿verdad?, para poder crear ese respeto, pero no lo están haciendo los empleados.
So this district has created guidelines to create environments of respect, but the employees are not respecting that.
¿Por qué? Porque no se respetan a los padres, no suplantan. Este comité debería de haber padres de verdad.
Because, why? Because parents are not respected. On this committee, there should actually be actual parents here.
Porque se supone que era un comité de padres y familias de la comunidad.
Because supposedly it is a committee that represents and has parents from the community.
Pero yo lo que veo que poco a poco van implementando familias y nos sacan a los padres.
But what I see happening is little by little, you're using the word family and not letting in parents.
Y está en todo el contexto del distrito.
And this is happening all across the district.
Entonces, como padres queremos ser escuchados, queremos ser respetados, pero realmente las pólizas que se están creando no nos están dando la voz que necesitamos y no estamos siendo escuchados.
And as parents, what we want is to be heard. We want to be respected. But what actually is happening with these policies is we're losing our voice, and what we want is respect.
Porque cuando somos escuchados se toman acciones.
Because when we are heard, actions are taken.
He estado por 4 años pidiendo que se hagan comités de ILAG a nivel del distrito local y no soy yo, es el comité. O sea, el comité lo ha dicho, ¿y qué ha hecho el señor Plasencia? Ignorar, porque él está muy a gusto con los grupos de estudio, cosa que no está funcionando. Para él funcionan, y para los padres que ignoran realmente todo el contexto, dicen, oh, qué buena información, pero realmente ahí no se debate, ahí no se discute.
So for 4 years, what have I been asking for? An ELAC representation at the local district level. But this committee does not, it's not happening. And why? Because Mr. Plasencia is ignoring it. He is happy with his study groups. It works for him, but there's no actual debate that happens at that level. Parents get information, but there's not actual action.
Y simplemente cuando uno empieza a trabajar, a tomar acción, a dar su tiempo, lo ignoran a uno. Piensan que uno tiene todo el tiempo, le quita tiempo a su familia, a sus hijos, porque quiere que esto funcione, porque nos preocupamos por los demás. Y eso no lo valora este distrito. Gracias.
And what we're doing is taking the time to take action. We take time away from our family because we care about what happens to all students. And the district is not honoring that. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Angie Gomez, are you here? Angie, if you're here, come on down. You'll have 3 minutes to speak once you begin.
Hello, good evening. I'm here today to advocate for GALA, the Girls Academic Leadership Academy, Dr. Michelle King School for STEM, also known as GALA. I'm the president of the Volunteer Parent Organization, and I am a proud parent of LAUSD. I believe strongly in engaging and being an active parent in every step of my daughter's academic journey. So with that, I come here because I'm here to communicate to you in person the urgency of our current campus situation and to ask that you advocate on our behalf. Yesterday, I spoke to the LAUSD board as a whole, urging them to decide and take a vote in support for a new campus for GALA. In 2016, when the school was founded, total enrollment was 165 students. Today, enrollment has grown to 760 students with a wait list of over 300. While we are excited with our growth, we now face the limitations of space and on-campus limitations of facilities on a co-shared campus. Also, GALA, as a single-gender span school, 6 through 12, is now being forced to have classrooms or use the space also used by a co-ed high school. Teachers and staff must now use valuable time and resources to monitor open and passing periods and to maintain the safety and the separation of our students and that of the co-ed student body that we share with. And we are very limited on our control on the activities of the other school that affect the peace of mind of the students on our school campus. And an example is on an almost daily basis, our students are dealing with constant distributions of blaring fire alarms, on-campus fights, and even back in November, we had a 45-minute lockdown situation. So again, what happens on one campus affects the students and the learning on the other campus. With increased enrollment also come the demands for more classrooms, lockers, recess space, athletics facilities. Teachers are having to share classrooms that they use bookshelves or curtains to divide. That's the only thing dividing them. That creates acoustical issues and affects learning again. Our CIF teams don't have access to on-site facilities and often have to travel long distances for practice. And most importantly, one of the goals that your committee has is to bring parents in. Well, we have a robust student parent community that want to help, but we have no parent center. We have no large meeting rooms or communal space to welcome these parents or community partners. And we are doing great things at GALA. You know, we have a diverse population of bringing in students from over 85 zip codes, 100% graduation rate, 100% college. I'm asking that you please look at our situation and urge and fight on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Ms. Daisy Ortiz, are you on the line? Ms. Daisy Ortiz, if you're on the line, press *6 to unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak once you begin.
Hello.
Hi. Ms. Daisy Ortiz, I see you're on the line. Por favor, oprime estrellita 6 para hablar y tienes 3 minutos para hablar. Adelante.
¿Me escuchan? Buenas
Can you
tardes.
hear me? Good afternoon.
Sí, escucha.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Maria Daisy Ortiz. I'm here to emphasize and demand that this subcommittee be one that help to get parents, authentic parents involved and be authentic involvement. Why do I say that? Because closures are proof of how the central district is falling apart. It happened abruptly since parents were not informed about this change. I would like to know, Mr. Scott, as president of this subcommittee, who benefited by this change? Why were we not informed? Is it possibly that there's a smoke curtain here to hide these deficiencies by the part of the district where it comes to teachers, or a sign of a strike on the part of teachers? Truly, Mr. Scott, we as parents have been used, and you are using us, which is why I ask for all parents to participate in the DLEC and PAC and CAC committees. It's a time to show the district that they can't keep just using us. Stop going to those committees where we are not respected and we're not taking into account. This is palpable evidence that as parents, we were not informed. If we want to call the Central District today, the person who was there at PACE, they're not there anymore, helping or supporting parents. They were removed. Do you believe that this is something you can truly call parent involvement? This is a farce. And I'd like that this subcommittee bring federal government representatives to talk about monies for parent involvement and categorical funds. Stop using the DLAC committee to endorse the consolidated app, because it's not just a simple application. It has to do with funding that help close the academic gap. There are different programs that need to be assessed, which has not been done for years. That's why parent voice has been supplanted and money keeps being taken away to shut off parents' voices. Mr. Scott, please don't make this subcommittee just one more subcommittee that looks nice for the district. That's enough. Stop this. Stop playing with our children's education and using us to just comply with some kind of committee requirement. I would also like there to be an audit about funding for parent involvement, for the budget line for parent involvement, because it's been abused, funding that hasn't been used for parents. And it's important that this district be transparent, transform, work as a team, and of course, translation, because
Thank you
in
for your
lots of
time,
schools,
Ms. Ortiz.
translation is not provided
Thank you very much.
for parents. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Carla Franco, are you on the line? Carla Franco, if you're on the line, press *6 to unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak once you begin. Carla Franco.
Buenas a todos, ¿me escuchan?
Sí, se
Can you
escucha.
hear me?
Sí.
So yes, I agree with everything that was just said. That's enough shameful cover-ups. That's enough of just passing the hot potato. Nobody wants to be responsible. We have complaints. It goes in one ear and out the other. At the high school, there has been reports of abuse of funding. There isn't even anything in the parent center for parents to have a cup of coffee. It's so sad that the school principals is not worried about or is not concerned with parent involvement. They've tried intimidating us. They try intimidating me, other parents. Sorry, the interpreter's having trouble catching everything. There is proof via email that there's intimidation. I sent an email where I got in touch with Mr. Plasencia talking about they're not representing my school in front of DLAC, and they're not respecting the membership. They don't even have the the training to give us. This is so shameful. This is disgusting. Why can't you just get your neurons working? It's a shame that parents who dedicate themselves so much to schools, why can't you do the same kind of dedication to improve schools? Stop not listening to us. That's enough. It's enough. And you need to be treating us with more dignity. The person who needs to get out is her. She's the one who needs to leave. Don't just turn your back on us, okay? And the person who was a coordinator for Title I just canceled a meeting because she's the one who has all the control. They didn't even consult the membership of ELEC. And they didn't even consult the board members of the ELEC. I just talked to Ms. Kinoko, and she said she never had authorization to make decisions without the board members of our committee. So, Mr. Superintendent, if you want to feel dignified as a superintendent, start by working first with parents and stop having so many parties in Garfield. That's enough show. That's enough shameful and abusive funds. If we want the federal government to get involved at these committees so they can see how clearly these funds are being used or not. That when we ask for something for the students, they say there's no funding. What are you doing with our funds? Like Mr. Huerta, I asked him what they were doing with the funds for my children.
Thank you very much for your time.
And I hope you take action.
Thank you. Mr. David Tokovsky, are you on the line? Mr. David Tokovsky, if you're on the line, press *6 to unmute yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak once you begin. Mr. Tokovsky, I see that you're with us. Press *6 to unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak once you begin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schmerlson and members of the committee. Appreciate your going into the firestorm of having a committee and getting information from staff, and as well as questions and passions from the public. Unfortunately, we don't have any colleagues there, and hopefully that will change as the committee continues to do its good work. A couple things. This committee could be very helpful with respect to the under-enrollment of 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds in the school system and getting the outreach so that parents know that there's a free public education available to students, and especially if their kids have any special needs, that's available at an even younger age, 2 and 1, and the Child Find program as well. So we continue to be about 40,000 kids short on the 3-year-olds in the district. And of course, that's from every grade all the way up to 12th grade once we get them enrolled. So that's very, very important. Second, this community committee could do a lot to improve the number of families and awareness of the tutoring program. So there were 35 companies that qualified on the bench contract. Less than 10 of them are being used. This is significant revenue from the federal and state government. Make sure that kids are caught up, not decelerated, but accelerated, catch them back up. And the under-enrollment is quite devastating. Third, it would be very important to start improving and getting feedback from parents and community members on the first 2 days that will be added to the calendar this December, so that improvements can be made for learning for the 2 at the end of the school year, Mr. Schmerlson. It would be important to find out what processes and feedbacks and evaluation. And finally, all of this ESSER money, or federal and state money, now that the Republicans will be concerned about the Biden revenue during the pandemic, is very important when they take over and have all these investigative committees that there's a presentation not just on what we're doing in COVID, but an accounting of the monies in a public, transparent way. And this would be a very good committee to maybe pick up on Ms. Rock's presentation, but actually have some sense presented it. And finally, I want to praise the public in San Francisco who's bringing to the school board there first ever effort to pass a parcel tax under the new Court of Appeals, California's decision in the First Circuit that allows a parcel tax to come from the community at 50% plus one rather than 66%. So keep up the good work, but ask some fiscal questions, get some more details and enrollment in these incredibly open programs that LAUSD is offering. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Norma Gonzalez, are you on the line? Norma Gonzalez, if you're on the line, press *6 to unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak once you begin. Norma Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez, I see you're on the line. Press *6 to unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak once you begin. Norma Gonzalez, por favor, oprima estrellita 6 para hablar. Okay, we will come back to you after our next speaker. Alan Kakasi, are you here? Alan Kakasi, if you're here, come on up. You have 3 minutes to speak once you begin.
It's not well known that for our American Indian students and families, there's a special program. It's called the American Indian Education Program. I've recently written several emails to the board to let them know this program currently has no staffing, no services, no parent committee meetings, no tribal consultations, a budget that the board voted for $140,000 this year that is largely unspent, data on our American Indian students that is waiting to be analyzed and focused, and a process for identifying and documenting students that is still in a work in progress. And I want to just briefly mention this to any parents listening. There's what's called a 506 form. If one of your children has any American Indian ancestry, they should fill this form out. It entitles them to receive additional services, academic and cultural. Additionally, it's the basis for the funding of this program. My concern now would be 4 things. And I know Mr. Plasencia is here, so I appreciate his connection. I spoke to him briefly, and I think he's already been in touch with the administrator in charge about the need to schedule parent meetings this late in the school year. What's happening? Why hasn't there been even one parent meeting? At the heart of this program is parent engagement, as there are so many other programs. But additionally, there's something called tribal consultation, which is special. And most people don't realize it, but we're one of the centers of American Indians as an urban area in the whole country. And they're entitled to meet on a regular basis with our staff and receive input from us as well as input from them to give direction to the needs of the students who are American Indian. Just in passing, the Navajo tribe has the largest Indian population in our current school district that's been identified. And I better say identified because even though a large number of students have been identified, I ask for a more complete total of that amount. I think currently it's between 500, 600, but there's a potential for maybe 1,000 or more if these forms are returned. So I see Ms. Escudero here. I just appreciate her staff working with the program to try to better get these forms out to the students, families, so they can be returned. The program has no coordinator. There is a staff person assigned from the district overseeing, and no current services So I appeal to your concern to look further into this. I appreciate the board members' support in this area too. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir. We're going to return to Norma Gonzalez. If you're on the line, press *6 to unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes to speak once you begin. Miss Norma Gonzalez.
¿Sí me escucha?
Sí,
Can
se
you hear me?
escucha. Sí, se escucha.
Okay. Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. My name is Norma Gonzalez. I'm a mother of 4 students at LAUSD. When we talk about parent involvement and our children's education, and specifically about public education, what parents understand and what the district understands are very different. Parents in general think that there will be a communication of direct communication with teachers, counselors, administrators, principals, and the board, so that together we can come to conclusions that will support students immediately. Also, we can think that our participation and the school councils and at schools will have a good impact on the school curriculum and our children's well-being, and that and have weight. But the minimum that we end up understanding something less than that. What we soon come to understand is that there are different levels of involvement. It appears that in many districts interpret working closely with parents and education as an opportunity for us to, as something that they can use as a compliance with a policy when it comes to parent participation. The LAUSD creates councils and committees where they encourage parents to get involved, to comply with certain district policies. But what really happens is it's just to fulfill a requirement and look good, like local control funding or English learners. Although there is an opportunity for parent participation in these committees as something public, in many cases, parents are actually selected by principals at the school with a process where at the end of the day, few parents end up participating. And in the end, it's basically the same voices being heard as representing all of the other 600,000 students in the district, majority of which are of Latin origin, most of them immigrants and English learners. In these meetings, the district will define the topics that will be dealt with, and parents can vote and have an opinion, but don't leave the room. And the district tends to say that those voices are actual thoughts of the parents. So please do true parent involvement. Don't ignore us.
Thank you for
We
your
and
time.
the students need it.
This concludes our public comment.
So thank you, everyone. We'll see each other again February the 1st in 2023. Thank you, everyone.
It's 7:16. Have a good night.